Hey everybody, Cliff Barron for Remax here with my update for March 28th to April 3rd. Milton, Georgetown, and Glen Williams. Before I get there, instead of doing a little story like I've been doing recently about my years in the biz and dumb stuff I've come across over the years, I'm going to talk about sump pumps, about basement flooding. And it's one of my favorite topics. You know, like on the weekend I had people over for Easter and I couldn't wait to tell them about sump pumps. It's a passion of mine. What can I say? So anyways, if you live in Halton, not as much in Mississauga, if you live in Halton, Halton Hills, Milton, you go in your basement, you'll see, most of the time you'll see, in Milton, all the time, you'll see a round 2-foot diameter cover. That cover is covering a sump. And a sump is basically a hole in the ground that's dug by the builder. It's kind of like a well, where it collects water. Water comes in from around the foundation, hits the membrane on the wall of the foundation, and it goes underneath the foundation and slowly starts to seep up. And the theory is the hole in the ground will collect that water. But over time, that water has to be expelled from the house, and that's what the sump pump is for. The sump pump will go off, and there'll be a black PVC pipe that drives the water. You know, the water goes through that pipe into the side yard, and then, you know, does its thing on the grass and everything like that. But occasionally, occasionally it doesn't work that way. My number one thing when I've done, you know, lots of deals, and I've seen a lot of wet basements over the years, not a ton, but my share, and I can say, you know, without a doubt, the majority of those basement floodings are not caused by cracks, which people think. They always think, oh, it's a crack, it's a crack. It's not. It's the sump pump, and it's basically because the sump pump has stopped working, and the well has risen up and risen up and risen up and overflowed. And the thing is with the sump pump is people don't realize it's not working anymore. So the sump pump, like I said, is designed to expel the water out of the house. And a lot of times I see, you know, people say, "Oh, my sump pump's going off all the time." And it's because it's putting the water out. The grading of the property is sloping towards the house, and the water is just coming right back in again. And sometimes, if that happens enough, it'll start to go through the foundation or above the membrane on the outside, and start to actually seep in through the walls, and that's where you get your leak. That's one of them. But the other thing is, the most popular one is when the sump just doesn't work. And a lot of people, they don't go in their basement. You know, they're in there once every, 2 weeks, a month or so, and they don't even realize it. And that their sump pump has stopped working. So here's a tip for you. When you're replacing your furnace filter, which is supposed to be every, they say 3 months, but if you're doing it every month or so, I recommend you get a big jug of water. You go into your basement, you pull up your sump cover, you pour the jug of water in, and then you pull up on, there's a straight metal lever that holds a float at the bottom. Pull up on the float, let it go, and you'll hear the sump pump discharge. And if it works, if it's discharging fine, then that's great. And but that's one thing you got to, because if it's not going off regularly, it's going to seize over time, and then that's when you find out the hard way that it's not working anymore. So, and then there's also a battery backup that you could think of as well. Well, not necessarily battery backup, just a backup system that if this sump fails, the new one will kick in and take over. But like I said, every month when you're changing your filter on your furnace, go down and put a jug of water in there and test out your sump pump just to make sure it's working and to keep it kind of lubricated and used to working. So that's my little tip. And I think it's a pretty good one too, because that's the majority of leaks in the basement are sump pumps. And if it's going off all the time, don't be alarmed too much, but be careful because it might burn out if it's going off too often. But usually it means you're on a high point on the property. But also check your pipe. If it is coming right back in again, extend your pipe outside because there's a chance it's going off over and over again because the water just keeps coming back in again. So do that, extend your pipe to a low area and get it expelled to a low area and out of your house and out of your foundation. Okay, so that's it. That's my little tip for sump pumps. I love sump pumps, like I said. So anyways, getting to the sales for Milton. March 28th to April 3rd, detached. Check this out, 1.572 on average. 36 sales, that's the highest I've ever seen. I can see it, I can feel it slowing, but it's still the number of showings are going down, but the sales the prices are still crazy. 4 semis, 948 on average. 31 townhouses, 880 on average. In the old detached, in the older part of Milton, 3 sales over $1 million, $1,036,000 on average, which is, that's getting up there as well. And then when it comes to condos, there was 10 sales of condos, 570, that's about the same. It hasn't really shifted much. And then there's 2 sales of condo towns at 737 on average. So Milton's still rocking away. It's still doing well. for now, that's for sure. Anyways, getting to Georgetown and Glen Williams, it's been really, really busy. A lot of listings, a lot of sales. 18 detached, this is in the 2-story range, and the average almost 1.4, 1.398. That's pretty high. Older detached, 10 sales, 908 on average. 2 semis sold 938 on average. Those are older semis as well. And then 1 townhouse sold for 903. And then a condo townhouse, 1 sold for 510 just off of Stuart McLaren. So they tend to go, 500 on the low end, 657 on the high end, if they're really 2-story, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, finished basement, really well done. Anyways, so that's it for my update. Cliff Barron from Remax again. If you have any questions, just shoot me a text, an email, whatever you like. And if you have any sump pump questions, let me know. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.